Okay. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of our ISCT members listening around the world. I am thrilled to be capping off my weekend by speaking to Dr. Sai Kiang Lim from the ASAR Institute of Molecular and Cell Biology in Singapore. I hope this chat will prove to be a happy start to your Monday in Singapore, Dr. Lim. Thank you so much for joining me.
Okay. Thank you for this kind invitation.
Can you please just, for anyone who doesn't know you, can you please just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your current position and affiliations there?
Yeah, I'm Sai Kiang Lim. I'm a research director at the Institute of Molecular and Cell Biology, which is part of a bigger organization called ASTAR. So we are a sort of quasi-government organization.
When was that founded? I feel like it's just grown exponentially recently.
I think, well, okay, I think it's about 2000 and it's formally formed in 2002.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it hasn't been around too long, but I feel like it's a huge organization now with just, it's multiple institutes, correct?
Right, it's multiple institute. Compared to most university, is relatively small. It's about 5,000 people, 5,000 staff. So, but we include both the biomedical and also the science and engineering research institute. So I think it's relatively small organization. It's a relatively small organization compared to places like NIH.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
It's very, very small.
Compared to other academic environments, I would say you're doing pretty well with 5,000 researchers, but no, I see what you're saying. I think I've only heard good things. The work coming out of there, obviously your work included, is gaining, international prominence. And I feel like a lot of companies are also rolling out of that institution. Would that be fair?
Yes. So this is there was a huge momentum during the period of the initial phase. The government put in a lot of resources. They were very aggressive, and that is sort of starting to bear fruit. It takes a long time for research to come to this stage. So what you see is probably a consequence of what happened 20 years ago. And what's happening now will only be visible 20 years from now.
That's fair. So I understand from your background that you are both a researcher, you have your own research group there, and then you're also an inventor / entrepreneur. You hold many patents and you've started companies. And I'm just curious if you would, share maybe what have been some keys to your success, or maybe, what do you credit with that? Like your own drive to do all of these things, or institutional support, something else? Would love to know.
Yeah, I think at the end, well, as researcher, financial support is very important. But I think more importantly is people. So I have been very, very fortunate. I have very good people who works with me. And also there were, like I say, when we first started, people were very aggressive. Our leadership has great foresight and wanted to do good science. So we had a lot of support. And what I am today is what happened 20 years ago. I think more importantly, I think people do trust my science and my integrity, although they may not agree with me most of the time. So my PhD advisor used to tell me, I don't understand what you're saying, but go ahead and do it anyway. So that's what I've been been doing all this time. Sometimes it's not very easy to articulate an idea, and a lot of the facts are just not there. So you don't have a lot of science to support some of your ideas. But I think along the way, I was able to earn some of this trust that people trust me, so they support. So that's how, I was able to move forward.
Do you give similar advice to your mentees now? Do you place a lot of trust in them and you let them sort of run with ideas?
I think trust is something that you need to earn.
Hmm.
So for people who has earned it, yes, we have all to take risks. Like I said, do first, apologize later.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission. I like it.
Yes. Yes.
What would you say, to someone who wants to take a similar path as you, having this balance between research and industry, sort of, having it all in a way? What would you say to them kind of starting out?
Yeah. I'm a scientist. I like being a scientist. And I didn't start out trying to be an inventor or a entrepreneur. I'm what you would call an accidental inventor and a reluctant entrepreneur. So when I first started out, the business office at A-Star had a very professional team of people. They are also very insightful, very experienced, and very insightful. So at that time, when we were starting out, we were other small institutes. So they would look at the science of these scientists, and they were the ones who convinced me that I was an inventor. So they started filing patent application and quite aggressively, and they also provided fundings to help strengthen the science for patent filing. So that's how I became an inventor. I mean, when I first started, I don't even know what PCT stands for. So it was challenging for me, but I learned along the way. And then becoming an entrepreneur, again, like I said, I'm a reluctant entrepreneur. And it was because the only way that I could hope to translate some of my work is to be an entrepreneur, because the kind of funding in an academic setting is just not there for translation. So I really have no good advice to give people how to balance, because I didn't start that way. I mean, everything happens serendipitously, and I don't think it's something that you can design, or at least it didn't happen that way.
Maybe that's more reassuring in a way. Like there's no secret. It's just, work hard at it and follow what you're passionate about. And if it's meant to happen for you and you get the right people supporting you, then it'll work out.
Yeah. At the end, I think there's a certain level of luck. You need to write the right people. At the end, I always say it's the people that counts, the people that makes the difference. I was in a good place with good people at the time. So
yes, that's actually, I think it's really funny you say that, because I think that's going to be a big focus for the ISCT international meeting coming up. And then I know it's going to be a big focus for a bunch of regional meetings as well, like about just how vital it is to get the right people, either in your organization, in your company, in your lab, and just the number of different roles that are growing out. I think that's a refrain that I'm pretty sure I heard someone in a meeting recently say, like literally, it's all about people. And I just think it's really nice to hear you echo that sentiment as well, especially as we go into this meeting season, just coming up so fast, almost a month away.
Yes.
But one thing that I am guessing is not luck is the fact that you are in the top 0.1% globally of highly cited researchers. This was according to Telegraft Analytics. I don't say that right. Telegraft Analytics Web of Science Group. And so when I saw this, I'm like, oh, I have to ask about the just submitting publications and getting people to engage with and therefore cite your work. What would be your top tips for getting these really impactful publications out there? I mean, apart from doing excellent science, I guess.
Yeah, so actually, I have to say I'm not the right person because when I started working on exosomes,
Hmm.
I had a hard time getting my publications, getting my manuscript accepted. So my most highly cited paper was rejected by 8 journals within a year.
Wow.
So and then the citation wasn't it wasn't cited for a few years until the field of exosome became hot.
Wow. Oh my God.
So I think whatever tips I gave here probably are something that nobody should take because it will be fatal to your career, especially a young researcher, because you cannot afford to have this kind of experience for those who are very much early in your career.
Mm.
It was a big struggle for me as well because in terms of funding was very, very difficult, very challenging, when you couldn't get your papers published.
You
But
just think
I
that,
was lucky.
yeah. Do you think that that was because the field as a whole was slow to come around to the idea of exosomes being a legitimate therapeutic option or something worth studying?
Well, the science at the time was mm, new, very new. Conceptually, it was new. Although it was there for a while already when I got in, but it was still a fringe area of work. Not many people here heard about it. In fact, when I gave meeting at the time, people always come and ask me exosome what? It's like what is exosomes, right? And so it was very difficult trying to push it. But if you are driven by data, good data, you should be confident about your work. It took a long time for me to recognize. It was hard, but again, like I say, I had good people who believe in me, who are prepared to invest in my work. So in that sense, I was lucky. But in today's world, it is very difficult to get this kind of support.
No, I understand that. But now that the field, hopefully, maybe in a way for the newer researchers who are interested in exosomes, the field is a little bit more accepting, well, probably a lot bit more accepting. The way has been paved by trailblazers like you, who have made exosomes a legitimate, part of our scientific discourse and therapeutic options now that are being developed. And I was curious to get your take on what you think are probably the most exciting applications of MSC exosomes that you see coming up like this year, next year. What do you think?
Actually, the type of application that MSA exosomes can be used for has always been very exciting for many years now. I think the what is stopping it from being even more exciting is it's very difficult to bring into the clinic. There's a lot of challenges, but I think over the years, I think with the help of organization like ICT and ISEB, where I have been organizing workshops and meetings to help to create a path forward for translation. I think the what is really exciting about 2023 for MSc Exome is that we are probably going to see the beginning of the exponential move into clinical trials and potentially even market approval. So I think it's going to be exciting in that sense, not in any particular application.
That would be great. I mean, to see them actually reach, clinical stage trials, I think would just be a massive leap forward. I hope more people talk about that at the international meeting because I'm curious to hear maybe who's close to getting to that stage.
Actually, there's a few trials already. In fact,
Okay.
I just gave a talk. I was invited by the US FDA to give a talk at the AMAC workshop to talk about manufacturing of EVs for clinical trials. So I think the FDA, from my interaction with them while preparing for this workshop, is that they are taking a very proactive step to understand EV so that they could review clinical trial application. And they do anticipate a huge number of applications in the coming years. So I think it's very exciting.
Oh, that is exciting. Okay, I'll have to tell my lab staff to look out for that. I'll tell my protocol manager to look out.
Oh, it's on YouTube already, so you can hear the recording of the workshop.
Oh, yes. Actually, we're going to feature that workshop in another Telegraft article this month. So that's a great tie-in. Thank you for that. Yes, everyone should go watch it. I heard it was a fantastic meeting, or like session that the FDA held to dialogue with you all. A lot of experts in the field. So yeah, everyone should definitely check that out. All right, well, I wanted to pivot a little bit and just ask you, what do you love to do when you're not doing science or writing high impact papers?
I like to cook, but I have to confess I'm not a very good cook. Because
you
I
have
cook
a favorite
more like
dish?
No. I cook like an experimental scientist, trying always to optimize the recipe rather than a technologies that adhere very strictly to SOPs. So I don't have very reproducible food, Sometimes it tastes good, sometimes it tastes terrible.
You're better than me. That's why I've always been turned off of cooking, because I'm like, I followed the recipe. It should have been like an SOP. Why did it not turn out the same way every time? But I guess even in science, it doesn't always turn out the same way. So what can we say? What are we gonna do? Well, that's great. If I'm ever in Singapore, I would love to try some of your cooking. I'm sure it's great.
Yes.
And then I was curious how long you have been an ISCT member, and like if you can tell us maybe how you've been involved with ISCT over the years.
I think I became a member in 2016 or 2017. So that was because the ISCT 2016 was in Singapore. And at that time, they asked me to give a morning presentation on exosomes at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? And it was a last minute thing. And well, it was last minute. And so I gave a talk on exosome at 7 o'clock in the morning. And it turns out to be quite well attended even at 7 o'clock in the morning. So the ICT decided to make it into a feature. So I think in 2017, Bernd Gilbert and myself became co-chair of the exosome committee. And we have been involved in a lot of ICT activities since then.
That's great. Okay, so you've come so far from a 7 a.m. like last minute time slot to now headlining a whole session at the upcoming meeting. There's going to be a whole day on exosomes, the last day, right?
Yeah, actually last year we had one already in the signature series. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah, so this year is going to be great as well. I think we have a lot of very good speakers, very exciting development in the field.
Right. Hopefully you'll get a lot of new people, maybe people who weren't able to be there last year can participate this year and hopefully grow that session a lot. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I also like to end by asking people what benefits they have seen from ISCT membership. That's also, I guess, nice to highlight as we get to the final days before the annual meeting.
Sorry, can you say that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. What benefits have you seen from being a member of ISCT?
Yes. So I think, like I say, everything is about people. So I got to meet a lot of really interesting, very, very intelligent people with shared interests, but not shared opinions. So we always end up having very long, heated discussion. That is, I find intellectually very, very stimulating, and I enjoy it very, very much.
Well, I would echo the same just based on this conversation. It has been lovely to get to chat with you, intellectually stimulating. I'll come away with a lot to look forward to at the annual meeting, that's for sure, especially around exosomes. And I just thank you so much for taking the time to share your excitement about this field with us. And I hope, are we going to see you in Paris?
Yeah. So yeah, I hope to see you too. I mean, I hope we have some time to catch up and say hello at least at the very least.
Yes. Oh, that would be lovely. Can you let people know maybe where they could connect with you otherwise, maybe if they're not able to come to the meeting?
Yeah, I think you can just Google my name and find my email. So that would be easy, right?
Great. No, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure people will want to reach out, especially if they have questions or they're interested in exosome research themselves. Can't think of many other great experts to reach out to. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in Paris.
Yeah. I hope to see you in Paris too. There's a lot of good food we can share.
Oh, okay. Even more to look forward to. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Day.
Thank you.